Hello, everyone. We're live.
What's up? We're here.
We're here. All right, everyone. We're here to talk about. One second. We're here. Hello, everyone. We're live. So, Jeremy,
We're
so that,
checking the links because we're live right now. So we're checking to make sure that this technology is actually working.
Exactly. What's up, folks? Appreciate you spending some time with us today. We're talking about the Airbnb ban in New York City, how it's impacting the market, what we're both doing about it, and what ways to mitigate the fallout from this. So, Jeremy, why don't we start? Why don't you give a quick intro Why don't you give a quick intro? What do you do? What do you do on the Airbnb side?
Yeah. So 5 years ago, I moved to New York City, and I was living in a shared bedroom with my buddy. And now today, I've got 25 Airbnb listings that pulling over $1 million a year. And I do a variety of different strategies, such as co-hosting, arbitrage, buying. Crazy going from New York, that experience, to the place I have now with my cat. So that's
where do you live in? Where do you live in New York City?
I've got a spot in Dumbo.
You're like right by the bridge. It's a really nice spot. I just went over there the other day. So I'm Michael Chang. I live in New York as well, actually in Long Island City across the river. And I have 31 Airbnbs. 24 of them I arbitrage. The rest I own. And been doing this since 2016, December 2016. And, since we both live in New York City, we want to talk about the ban here in New York City, right? Jeremy, what's going on? Let's give the audience a quick background of this ban that New York City enacted in, I think they started enforcing it in Labor Day.
Yeah, so it's nothing new. It's been on the books for years, but starting Labor Day, they literally forced listings off of the Airbnb platform. Not only are people really not allowed to do Airbnb, but if you illegally do it through Airbnb, Vrbo, and they collect payments on your behalf, then they get fined. So it was really not only is this regulation just very strict, but also it's really setting an interesting precedent where the platforms themselves get punished for allowing host to host.
Yeah, so this ban has been around for forever, right? They've restricted listings for a very long time, but now they actually make Airbnb enforce it on the platform and fine Airbnb. So that's why Airbnb is 80% of listings in New York City are actually now banned. And what a lot of people, it's crazy, and it really helps the hotels here, right? Because now they're charging $800 a night versus $500 a night for rooms. And what it does is actually force the inventory underground. So a lot of people are listing on Facebook or Craigslist, and it actually screws over the guests, right? Because they don't have any protection that they usually would go to Airbnb. So they're having to send money ahead of time to random people on Craigslist, which is never really a good recipe for good outcomes. So, hey, so Jeremy, why, when you moved to New York City, why didn't you do Airbnb arbitrage or buy properties in New York City? Why did you do it out of state?
Yeah, so actually, I don't know the exact timeline, but I moved to New York in 2018, and I started my Airbnb journey late 2019. So when were the rules initially enacted? Because I know you had a portfolio here, and when did kind of things turn around in that regard?
So we we did start here in 2016, had a few, and then we grew in other cities as well, pre-COVID, in California, in Philadelphia. And when COVID came, actually, it made us shut everything down because of kind of the hard shutdown we had in New York City, which was a blessing in disguise because it actually forced us to expand to Philadelphia, where we're in the right zones, right regulations. So that really helped. But that's kind of a big thing on when you're starting Airbnb business. Anyone here listening that's interested in starting Airbnbs, understanding the regulations are super important, right? What you don't want to do is do it in a market that doesn't allow it, and especially if they really enforce it very strictly, you're going to be in a situation where a lot of the Airbnb hosts that were in New York City, they had to close down their listings, sell the furniture, deal with the landlord. It's just it's a huge mess.
Yeah, exactly. So I started really went hard into my Airbnb business in 2020, beginning of COVID. That's when I started with boat rentals initially at a rural lake in North Carolina. And I kind of just fell into growing a management portfolio on that particular lake. pretty random. I didn't even know much or anything about that world. It's just people were talking to me and asking me if I could help them out. So I really started in Bumblefuck. So while I had been living in living in New York City, I wasn't there, when I really started growing my portfolio. So to me, it was like rural places are the place to be right now. And that was COVID. That was COVID. New York City was kind of dead for a little bit there. It was frankly dead. And I know, your properties had some issues early on, and you were
sure.
smart and strategic, and you pivoted to like healthcare professionals and folk like that. But for me, it was like, I think rural is the way to go right now. And now, like 3 years later, it's pretty much back to normal. It's not rural or urban. It's not what it was.
Well, I would say it's more urban now, actually. The urban, I think there's so much supply added to a lot of the rural areas, right? Like everyone, and, I think that was a big issue where people were seeing this humongous increase in, in rural areas. Like a lot of my properties are in the Smoky Mountains, Tennessee. And those prices have like doubled, like since 2020. Some have tripled, actually. And actually, what a lot of people did, I don't know, like, talk about this too, but like what a lot of people did was start to buy in like secondary markets of the rural markets. So like outside of the core, they would buy in like, like 50 miles outside of the core where the prices were a little cheaper. And those are people that are actually really suffering now because that big COVID bump all went away. And now they're, these locations now don't have like all these people going there. And those are what a lot of, people are suffering in those areas that were, maybe making 50K a year, and then COVID bumped them to 80, 90. And then people bought based on 80, 90K a year. And then now they're back to like 60. That's pretty painful.
Yeah. And I'm one of those people for one of my properties for one.
Oh, yeah, really?
I bought an hour from Gatlinburg, like you said. I did buy in a city where there is a growing university. So there is a draw to the area.
What city? Tell the people what city.
It's called Silva.
Silva? Okay.
I've heard of Silva. It's like a random town. Like I'm not going to say there's like anything in particular there that, like, I assume there would be more folk from the university than there actually has been. But my underwriting, I kind of had that in the back of my head that like that could happen. We just got essentially like a 3,000 square foot house with really nice views and a really good floor plan for like $429,000. And this was at the end of like 3.2% interest rates. And I was like, I got to buy something. I got to do it right now. So, but yeah, I underwrote it where like, I think in normal times this could make like 60, but I think right now it could make like maybe like 90 or 100. And yeah, I'm totally seeing that play out. Like the first year like did 100, which was crazy. But, yeah, it was totally nuts. And like now we're falling off that. I think I showed you how, I'm seeing there. We're still good. Like we're still good. We're still getting cash flow. Great. But it's just like, it was like, holy shit, this is an absolute home run. Now it's like, all right, it's a triple.
Yeah. Look, a lot of things at 2.9% make, and that was a good time. I don't think we're ever going to get back to 2.9%. Rates are like 8% right now. So you got to be really, really tight in the way that you underwrite your properties. Or use more cash. Yeah.
Financing.
I mean, a lot of people don't sit around with $500K in cash though.
That is true.
Yeah. So actually, why don't we, look, we both live so Jeremy and I both live in New York City. So, we actually, short-term rentals is an interesting space, right? It's like growing a lot. There are a lot of new people in there. You may know a lot of people online, but you actually don't meet people in person. So I met Jeremy actually messaged me on TikTok, actually, right? TikTok. And he was like, hey, you're doing Airbnb. I live in New York too. Let's catch up. And I was driving between San Antonio and Austin, and we were in traffic. I was like, okay, like just give him a call and see what's up. And we ended up talking for like an hour and a half. I was like, oh, I really like this dude. And then we started hanging out in New York. And, I'd say like he's like one of my good friends in short-term rentals. And it actually makes this a lot more fun. We talk business and like, share more about like, where the opportunities are, where the problems are. So it's been really nice to like, and I can encourage folks that are getting into short-term rentals, like find like your little tribe, like one person, two people that like you really vibe with. It'll make you'll grow a lot faster, and it makes it more fun too.
Yeah, I think I remember your video. You were at like a 4-bedroom San Antonio house with a pool in the background, and you were like walking around, and I think at this time you were definitely your social media skills are not where they are today. You've came a long way. But the video you took, you were just talking through. Oh, look at this property. Look at the floor plan. Look at the backyard. And I was like, this is like my corner of TikTok. This is like perfect for me. Like this is exactly like when I walk around these houses in Florida,
Oh, really?
literally thinking the exact same thing. So I think I saw that video and I was like, damn, this guy, he gets it. He gets it. So I want to talk to him.
Okay, that's cool. You actually never told me that, so pretty cool. Okay,
I think
cool.
I said that day when we talked. I was like, oh, I saw you were looking at
Yeah,
houses in San Antonio.
But you didn't say that like, oh, because that was the way that you were thinking about the properties. But no, I mean,
like, you're legit. Like that tells me you're thoughtful.
Okay, I got you.
It's not just 3 steps for Airbnb. It's like actually being able to look out and analyze and have like actual tangible takeaways.
So, all right, let's go back to no, that's been great, and I'm glad you did that because it actually makes this more fun. How was your portfolio doing this year? Right, like there's a big thing on an Airbnb bus. I know we're going off topic on NYC ban. We'll come back to it. How is your Airbnb business doing?
Yeah, so I mean, this year we'll pull in more top line revenue than ever before. I mean, I think it's cool also to have friends in the space because we can all just like look at our specific portfolios in different locations and see how they're performing year over year. And not only look at different locations, but you look at different property types in different locations. So like, for you, I know your 6 bedrooms in the Smokies like are pretty much the same this year relative to like your 3-4 bedrooms in the Smoky. I'm like, oh, well, my 6-bedroom lake houses are practically the same, but yes, the smaller ones in our portfolio are definitely suffering.
No, so, the smaller ones, my smaller ones definitely are suffering too. The 4s and the 3s are like the 6s. The 6s do great. Like the 6s are like they crush it. They still like crush it.
And if you think about it, it makes sense because like it's hard to add 6-bedroom inventory. And the issue in the Smokies is there's so many 4-bed new builds.
There's so many, yeah. And I guess like one nice thing is they're small. Like the new builds they do have a pool, and like they're fake pool. Yeah, they're not even real pools. They're like they're called like waiters.
Hot tubs.
Yeah, they're just like a glorified hot tub. We owned one of them, and they really are just a glorified. You can't swim in there. It's just like you just kind of putter around there. But you check the box right in Airbnb that you can say pool. The 3 or 4 bedrooms definitely are suffering. We're probably like 15% off pace last year. Luckily, those like have appreciated and like low interest rates, so it's fine. But the 6 bedrooms, like the 5, 6s and above, like those things still really, really do well. And I think you're right? Because like they don't build 6 bedrooms now. All right, let's go back to New York City. Where do you think this goes? Do you think people come back here and now with so little inventory, they figure out a way to hack the system because there's so much money to be made. There's so much money to be made right now. If you have an Airbnb running in New York City, like you're killing it.
Yeah, so this is actually interesting. So yeah, I personally have never had an Airbnb. I have rented out my bedroom because when I left New York City and went to North Carolina, I rented out my bedroom on like one of these like Facebook platforms. And the reason I did that, yeah, I did. You
were referring to bed bugs or something? Bad smells?
Well, I mean, it was more like my roommates, if I wanted to like actually be able to vet the person and
I gotcha.
I ended up actually renting it to a friend of a friend. So I didn't even go through, but it was like, I used that underground quote unquote marketplace before it was, now an underground marketplace. And I actually do, and this is kind of to tie into our point earlier about like having friends in the space or even like having mentorships of our own. Like a couple of my friends who are, also part of my mentorship program, they hit New York City. I didn't advise them to. I did not advise them. I was like, you guys, here are the rules. Like, I'm not personally doing this. I would love to do New York, but like, I'm staying away. But they went for it. And they did a medium term model. They underwrote. I just said, if you're going to do this, find a property that would work great as a medium term rental.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to want a washer dryer. You're going to want a desk. You're going to want all those long term amenities that are super important. And they actually started short term and then just preferred medium term. And what we found is that like it's definitely like competitive, the medium term landscape. But if you make a really, really good listing, and you build relationships. Like there's brokers essentially who, like a restaurant, for example, will have like a traveling, celebrity chef for 3 months in New York.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they go to a broker, and that broker places them. So there's like a couple like really powerful like medium-term brokers that they built relationships with at this point, and they're doing great. I mean, they have to make their properties look like, to get these really high-end clientele, they need, like, the properties have to be designed extremely well. Like you've got to spend probably a little bit more on design than you normally would for, a studio apartment or one bedroom. But yeah, I had one mentee, for example. He rent was like $3,400, and
that's
he
pretty
got
cheap, actually. It's pretty cheap for
I mean, it's a studio.
Studio. Okay, studio.
Studio in, like, I don't know, some name, Chelsea, I believe. But he got his first booking at $6,000 or $6,200 for 6 months, and he got paid up front. He got the entire thing paid up front.
Oh, damn. Okay, that's very nice. Yeah. So he's making what? So wait, is it 32? You said 3,200?
Yeah. So essentially, he just,
so plus, like, the utilities and whatnot, no cleaning. So he's netting like $2K. I mean, that's pretty nice. So $2K a month, and you don't have to do anything, actually.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's definitely, having someone there for 6 months like has its own trials and tribulations, or its own complications. But everything with everyone so far, so good.
Nice. Yeah, you don't want to give them tenant rights, especially here in New York City. All right. Look, as we wind down here, like, if you're in New York City, like, what? So say you were operating in New York City. Let's hypothetically, you're operating in New York City, and then now you can't operate anymore on Airbnb. Like, what mitigation strategies would you use? Like, let's think creatively for folks that are in New York City that might be in this situation. Like, what would you do? What could you do?
Yeah, well, initially you should have thought, all right, worst case scenario, we're going to have to go medium term. So
MTRs.
We're going to have a competitive medium term listing.
I'm see a billion MTRs. I'm a billion MTRs right now. All the STR people flip to MTRs right now.
Yeah, no, but like people didn't think about ahead of time, like, what do we need to do? And also the MTR game is a lot more of a relationship game. As much, short-term rental, you just throw it on Airbnb, bang. Like, but medium-term rentals, it is like personal relationships are more important. So folk who are not like trying to find the brokers and trying to find the insurance, people, they're gonna suffer, because it's not an easy game. Like it's not just throw it on Airbnb and call it a day.
Yeah. No, that is definitely the strategy. I mean, look, you can also, you can flip the MTRs, right? But again, I think pretty competitive. What you can also do is, you got to do if you want to do the Facebook game, go on Facebook, go on Craigslist. There's like Hofi. Yeah, Hofi, which I hadn't heard of, actually, but actually pretty popular. So Hofi. So you could try to do that, but it's a lot more work, right? You have to actually like vet each guest, like take the payments. It's just like, it's not a long. It might carry you through the end of your lease, but it's not a long-term strategy, and it's also it'd be more painful if you owned it. Although you'd probably appreciate it since then. Something
really cool. This is actually one of the coolest things I've seen is one of the mentees works for an insurance provider. Essentially, have you ever heard of the company Guarantors?
No, I haven't.
So the issue is, like, in New York, or just in general, if you're paying, if you have a landlord and you're paying like renter's insurance, and then someone comes in and rents your place from you for 4 months, it's like there isn't really a lot of insurance products that cover that specific situation. Like, because there's like Proper, for example, does, short-term arbitrage insurance, but they don't do like, there is some coverage gaps if you're essentially doing long-term rentals under another long-term rental. So he actually, in his own company, built a new insurance product specific to like medium-term sublets.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's really smart, actually.
The tenants have to buy the policy, or the guests have to buy the policy.
That's even better, actually. Oh, wow. Nice.
Exactly.
That's really smart. That's really,
so it's like,
smart,
instead of air cover, it's essentially like what air cover would have been.
Yeah, and then you put it on a guest. That's awesome, actually. It's really, really smart. Man, see,
Yeah,
like
no, I heard that and I was like, damn, that's pretty good. Like
I love it.
I
No,
like again, like we talk to people, we build a network.
yeah, and that's the cool thing. You just get these really, really good ideas from. There's all in a new industry. There's always so many different opportunities. The more you talk to people, the more you like hear something creative that they do. It's not like you replicate the exact same thing, but like you can find if you encounter a similar situation, like, oh, actually, someone did something similar with this. Maybe I can do this as well. Well, folks, thanks for joining our initial episode of Mike and Jeremy. We wanted to do something more live for our audience, versus just putting on reels or kind of recorded content, something live. So we hope you guys enjoy this. We'll do this again very, very soon. So appreciate you guys joining us today, and have a great rest of the day.
Yeah, we'll run it back. Stay tuned to next time, guys.
Yeah, wait, one thing. If you guys tell us some topics you guys want us to cover, right? So whatever platform you're watching this on, like whether it's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, put down some topics that you actually would like us to cover, and then we can hit that on, next week or a week from now. So with that, hey, Jeremy, have a good rest of the day, and we'll do this again soon. See you guys. Bye.